Namaste. Welcome to your Hatha yoga practice. Today we'll be focusing on the theme of Hanuman, one of the characters in Hindu mythology and what's known as the monkey god, although the characterization and symbolism is broad and way more deep than just that classic characterization. But what we'll be working with Hanuman is his reputation of spiritual devotion, surrender, and overcoming the ego. When I think of ego, I think what most of us think of when we talk about dissolution of the ego is that pride sense of being too into ourselves or too confident or too prideful. But there's another side to the ego that I also personally struggle with, is that taking things too personally, or doing the opposite of being too prideful, being too unsure of ourselves and denying ourselves our own reality because of different things from childhood, other traumas, etc. So working today on not just the physical pose of Hanumanasana, which is the splits, but don't worry, we'll keep it gentle, but also overcoming those things within ourselves that hold us back from unifying body, mind, spirit, surrendering to the beautiful life that we have, accepting the challenges, rising to meet them, speaking up for ourselves and for others. So if any of that lands today, I invite you to hold that close to your heart through practice. And if none of that makes sense or resonates with you, find your own meaning in these postures, in the breath, in this time that you've set aside for yourself to join us for a yoga practice. So we'll begin in a strong, comfortable stance at the top of the mat, finding mountain pose. Maybe you close your eyes or cast your gaze downward. Begin to breathe deeply into the body, sending roots through your feet deep into the earth, drawing prana, life force, up through the legs, through the pelvis and the belly, through the lungs, the chest, the throat, up through the crown of the head. Spend a few rounds of breath, cycling that air and prana up, around, through, and out. And I invite you to invoke the Ujjayi breathing, the ocean breath, dragging the breath down the back of your throat on the inhale to create an audible sound, and out through the nose as if you're whispering with your mouth closed, slightly lifting the soft palate, pressing the air, slightly constricting the throat. And this breath can help acknowledge and alleviate, at least for me, frustrations or stress. It's slightly warming. So let it burn and dissolve the ego sense of self. The sense that makes us stand alone instead of together with others. Any sense of loneliness. Sense that we have to do everything on our own or without direction or without connection. Take a deep breath in. Hold it at the top, surrendering into the fullness of the breath. And then open mouth, exhale. Blink open the eyes, wiggle the toes, roll the wrists and the fingers. And we'll begin with a few rounds of sun salutations. Inhale, the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Lift up halfway on your inhale. And then exhale, bending the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank, or you can lower to your hands and knees. And one more breath in here. Slowly lower all the way to the belly, or just hovering in chaturanga if you're taking up dog. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, lift the pelvis up and back for downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Feel free to pedal out your feet or take any movements, adjustments you need. Continuing to fill up with the breath in, empty out fully on the breath out. On your next breath in, look between your hands and tiptoe towards the top of the mat, finding forward fold. And allow your inhale to bring you halfway lift. Exhale, folding back down, and then roll the spine up to stand on your next inhale. Arms come up overhead, palms together at the top. Exhale, Anjali Mudra, palms at heart center. Gaze down at your fingertips. Breathe. Coming back to that Ujjayi breathing. On an inhale, release the hands. Exhale, lift the gaze. Inhale to chair, knees bend, arms rise. Exhale, fold. Look up halfway on the inhale. Exhale, fold, plant your hands. Step your feet back to plank or to your knees for hands and knees. And lower down, chaturanga, or all the way to your belly. Inhale, cobra up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step that right foot between the hands, coming to warrior one, back heel plants. Sweep the arms up as you ground down through the low body. Turn the hip and shoulder points towards the top of the mat. Bending into the right knee, lengthening through the back left leg. Breathe in here. Exhale, fold, planting your hands. Stepping back to plank, lowering through, or you can meet us in downward facing dog if you want to skip the lowering through and up and back. From downward facing dog, step your left foot forward, finding warrior one on the other side. Right heel plants. Ground down to lift up. And then square hips towards the top of the mat. Pulling the right hip forward, left hip back, arms reach up overhead. Tall in the spine. Broad through the chest as you take a deep breath in. Exhale, plant your hands on either side of your left foot. Step back to plank. Lower through or meet us in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, look between your hands. Step or tiptoe or hop to the top of the mat. Look up halfway on your inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale to chair, sweep the arms up in front of you, drop the hips back, weight in the heels. Then press down to lift up, inhale. Exhale to mountain. Bring the palms back together at heart center. Focusing the gaze downward or closing the eyes. Coming back to our Ujjayi breath. Coming back to our focus. Letting the heart rate and the breath wash over us, wash out any sensations, judgments. On your next breath, release the palms. Step the right foot to the back of the mat and turn to face the wide edge of the mat for wide-legged forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips. Keep a little bounce in the knees. We're not going to lock the knees out, but as we begin to fold forward, send the hips back, the heart forward, lowering the chest between the legs, shifting the weight to the balls of the feet, and letting the head hang weightless between the shoulders, crown of the head reaching towards the earth. Let's take about 5 rounds of breath here. You can lower your hands to the mat or to your ankles. Coming back to the breath. And using this focus practice to continue to unify breath and body and spirit. Tuning out The negative narrative in your mind, that too is the ego. Inhale, look up halfway, tenting up onto your fingertips, and walk the hands back towards the top of the mat. Step the left foot back to meet the right, find downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. You can also take child's pose. If you'd like a little gentler version. Maybe you slightly bend the knees and press your chest back towards your thighs, lifting up through the sitting bones. You want your back to be as straight as you comfortably can here, and the head relaxed between the shoulders, biceps spinning forward. And if none of that seems to work, just breathe in whatever shape you're in and know that it's okay. Couple more breaths here in our downward facing dog. And then inhale the right heel up and back to 3-legged downward dog. So our palms are on the mat, fingertips spread wide, left toes spreading wide, right leg up and back. Keep the right hip lowered here. So we're not opening the hip, keeping the hip points facing the floor. Couple more breaths here. Lower down whenever you need. And then lower that right foot down to the mat. If you need a break, take a little pit stop in child's pose. Eventually we'll make our way back to downward facing dog and extend the left leg up and back. Remember to keep the hips squared, biceps spinning forward, head relaxed. A long line of energy shooting out from the toes, pressing into the mat through the hands. Lifting from the inner thigh. One more inhale. Exhale, lower the toes to the mat. Lower the knees, take a break in child's pose. Walk the hands back behind you so the palms face up. Might feel good to relax your shoulder blades that way. Spend just a breath and rest here. Maybe you come back to that ujjayi breathing. Inhaling, absorbing, circulating the benefits of the postures. Exhaling, letting go of any judgments or need to analyze, wonder what's next. Be right here in the breath. Surrendering to the moment. Be devoted to yourself in this practice. Bring your hands next to your face. Slowly begin to press yourself up. Just sit back on your heels or any comfortable seat. Spend a moment here to allow the blood flow to return. Take a deep inhale. Exhale through open mouth. Clasp your fingertips behind your low back, or you can reach your arms back or put them on your hips and draw the elbows together. Inhale, look up. Exhale, seated yoga mudra. Bringing the arms up overhead as you lower your head down towards the mat. And then pressing into the shins. Inhale to sit back up. Release the hands at the bottom. Bring them up forward in front of you, reaching up. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale, extend them back up. And come to tabletop, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Begin to move into a cow and a cat. Inhaling. Dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone to the back of the head, creating space for new air. Exhaling, curling the spine, tucking the chin, and tucking the tailbone, pressing out through the shoulder blades. And continuing with this rhythmic movement of breath and movement. Moving at your own pace. Making it subtle or exaggerated, anywhere in between. Just a few more rounds of breath through cat and cow. Then we'll begin to tuck the toes under. Lift the knees, send the hips back, find downward facing dog, and step the right foot forward between the hands. Hop that back foot in. We're going to gently make our way to a revolved triangle. So hips are squared towards the top of the mat. Both legs are going to maybe be straight, working towards that. And you can widen your stance if you need a little bit more stability. If you put your feet on the same plane, one right behind each other, it'll make it more difficult, more challenging. So choose your adventure. Draw that right hip back in space. Left hand plants, or maybe it comes up to your shin. We're going to reach that right arm up. Finding our revolved triangle. Your gaze can be down at your feet or up towards your fingertips. Quite a challenging posture, so be gentle. And maybe you use your blocks here. I recommend having those nearby anyway as we move to our splits pose eventually. Blocks can help bring the earth closer up towards your hand to keep the alignment a little bit more pleasant. Just a couple more breaths here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower that right hand. Step the left foot forward to meet the right. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time we'll step the right foot back about halfway, finding a revolved triangle on the other side. So this time the left hip is going to gently press backwards towards the back of the mat, squaring the hips towards the top. Maybe you grab that block. Right hand is going to plant on the earth or come up onto the inner knee or land on your block. And the left arm is going to reach up. Again, a really challenging posture, so be gentle with yourself. Lead with following the breath, following the body, not that ego. Surrendering into where the physical body is today. Keep your mind there. Find a little gratitude, a little positivity. Embrace the challenge and unify with it by inhaling and exhaling. One more breath in. And then exhale, lower that left hand, move any props out of the way. Step forward to forward fold. Roll the spine up to stand. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to mountain pose. Coming back to our Ujjayi breath. Breathe here. Fill all the way up on your next inhale. Open up, exhale, let it go. From the top of the mat, step the right foot back, coming to high crescent lunge. So the left heel is going to be lifted, bending into the right knee. Finding a firm, stable base. Draw that energy up and in, scissoring the legs together. Breathe. Inhale, look up, maybe arching the back. Exhale to humble warrior. So reach the torso forward. And when your back is parallel to your thighs, send your arms back behind you. Maybe clasp the fingertips together. Maybe you're hanging onto your blocks. Maybe your hands are on your hips. Wherever you're at, open the heart, lengthen the spine, and melt towards the earth, lowering between the legs. Maybe the arms come up overhead. Taking your time, being graceful with yourself and your balance, even if it doesn't look graceful, be kind. Press down to inhale, lift up, release the hands when your back is straight. Reach the arms up overhead, and exhale, step towards the top of the mat, arms reaching up. Exhale to mountain. Ujjayi breath. And as you're ready for the other side, step the right foot to the back of the mat, coming to high lunge. Left knee bends, right hip comes forward, left leg is sending energy back. Arms up overhead. Working to straighten the back leg, but it might not be there now or ever. We're working with what we got. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, humble warrior. Any variation. Take your time to set up the posture. Again, maybe you widen your stance. Maybe you hop your back foot in. Keep the neck relaxed wherever you're at. Lengthen through the spine on your inhales. Give in to gravity a little bit more on your exhales. Firm into the feet. Hug the legs together energetically as you lift yourself up. Arms reach up overhead. Step slowly to the top of the mat. Look up, reach up. Exhale, elbows down, cactus arms, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Relax them at your side, finding, once again, quiet, reflective mountain pose. Notice how your body feels after those asanas. Did it awaken anything? Did it release anything? Was it a challenge or was it a release? And exhale, let all of those awarenesses dissipate as the breath out through the nose releases into the air around you. When you're ready, inhale, look up. Step the left foot to the back of the mat. Reach the arms up. And on an exhale, we're going to lower that left knee down. Coming to a low crescent lunge, drop the hips. Reach the arms up overhead. And exhale to lizard, bringing both hands to the inside of the right foot. And here you can use, again, your props, your blocks to bring the floor up to you. You can scoot your knee back. You can lower down to your forearms if that's accessible for you. Allow your lizard to have no expectations of what it looks like. Focus on the feeling. So as you breathe, I'm going to work on opening the left hip flexor, the front left of that hip, the right side of the right hip. We'll be here for several rounds of breath, so allow yourself to just be right here. Resist the urge to follow the monkey mind, crazy around the brain. Be devoted to the breath, to the awareness of the here and now. Being unified with this exact moment. Letting go of it on the exhale. Welcoming a new moment on each inhale. stay with yourself for a few more rounds of breath. And on your next inhale, lift the gaze. Tuck the back toe, lift up off that knee. And we're going to walk toward the left, all the way around to the top of the mat or to the back of the mat until you find lizard on the other side. You can lower that back knee if you had it lowered for your lizard on the other side. And again, setting yourself up, maybe you need to walk that knee in. Maybe you need a block. Maybe this side you can lower down. Make the posture work for you. Keeping the heart space somewhat open. So if your back needs to curl to lower, lift yourself up a little bit. Allow the body and gravity to gently get you there over time. No need to force into what we think the posture should be. Find your breath. And sink into the space. Release tension in your jaw or anywhere else you tend to hold on. Few more moments here. On an inhale, lift the gaze. Going back up to your hands if you need. Tuck the back toe, lifting the back knee. We're going to step the left foot back to meet the right, so we find plank. And then lift the hips for downward facing dog. Look back at your toes and walk your hands back to meet your feet so you're in a forward fold. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, fold. Roll the spine up to stand and begin to turn around to face the top of the mat. Sweep the arms up on your next breath in. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to make our way to standing splits. So shifting the weight to the left foot. Inhale, look up halfway and send that right foot back, just the toes touching. You can stay here or you can begin from your inner thigh. Lift that inner thigh up. So you're balancing on your left leg. Hips are level here, so we're not opening the hip, not lifting that right leg. We're keeping that front hip point facing the earth. The hamstring is parallel to the earth and the ceiling. The head is relaxed. You can widen your fingertips towards the edges of the mat. Pressing down through that left foot, lifting up through the left glute, finding length in the left leg. One more breath in. Slowly lower that right foot to meet the left on your exhale. Inhale, look up halfway. Shift the weight to the right foot. And as you fold, dropping the head, lift the left toes back. Once again, lifting from your inner thigh. Keeping the hips parallel. Imagine if you had a plate of your favorite snacks resting on the sacrum right on the top of your low back there. You don't want to tip that plate over by lifting that left leg too much. So keep that plate steady in your low back. Pressing down, lifting up. Opening the chest with a big breath in. Reaching those left toes out and back. Inhale, just lift the gaze towards the top of the mat. Exhale, lower that left foot to meet the right. Heel toe the feet apart and find a yogi squat, dropping the hips, bringing the palms together if you can. Lowering the heels either down on the mat or blocks. We'll be here for 5 rounds of breath or however many feel appropriate for you. If you'd like to play around with crow pose, this is a good opportunity for that. Totally optional. Full inhale, open mouth exhale. Plant the hands, lift the hips, heel toe the feet together, and begin to sit back down onto the mat, back onto your hips. We're going to take a wide-legged seated forward fold. So widening the legs. Plant your hands next to your hips. Roll the shoulders down the back. Press the tailbone down into the earth. Inhale up through the spine, tucking the chin to elongate through the back of the neck. Bring the hands in front of you and slowly crawl them forward as you make your way to just a little forward fold. We don't have to go too far here. You want to keep the low back straight. Breathe. That audible oceanic breath in and out. On an inhale, walk the hands back in. Draw the sole of the right foot into the left leg. And reach that left arm towards your left foot or left toes, grabbing onto something, reaching the right arm up overhead. Janu Shirshasana. Release. And we'll switch sides, extending the right leg long, left sole of the foot in this time. Right arm reaches down for the foot or the toe, left arm reaches up overhead. Keeping that heart space open. Exhale to release. Bring the soles of the feet together and take a few seated cat and cows in our bound angle. Inhaling, pulling the heart through the shoulders, looking up. Exhaling, curling the spine, tucking the chin in. Continuing with your own rhythm. Breathing out to sit back upright. Close the knees together like a book and lower them down to one side. Coming to tabletop. Bringing the right foot between your hands, we're going to make our way to Hanumanasana or Ardha Hanumanasana. Splits or Ardha means half, so half splits. So we're just going to lift those toes and send the hips back. Blocks are great here. I highly recommend starting with them just so you can get the feel for the strength of the posture. You can walk your heel forward or the left knee back. And again, we want to square the hips. So we're not opening the hips to a squat or to do a splits this way. We want to really scissor the legs in towards each other, drawing the prana up and in as if we're floating. So this is where the blocks can come in handy, and you don't have to lift your arms up overhead. Be gentle with the knee here. And maybe your leg isn't quite straight, depending on how those hamstrings are today. This can be a little rough on the knee if you're on a hard surface, so feel free to flip the edge of the mat over to give yourself an extra cushion, or use blankets or a pillow, whatever you need. Take several moments to get yourself set up in the posture so that you can feel the energy and the work of the left and right hugging in, pulling up. Maybe you reach your arms up. Maybe you reach one arm up. Maybe you keep your hands on your hips. And this posture mimics Hanumanasana, jumping over oceans on one of his heroic adventures. Pulling that right hip back in space. Breathing here, just a few more rounds of breath if you've got it. Of course, you can release at any time. Knowing that sometimes surrender is the best course of action. And sometimes that devotion to yourself means not following the ego that's telling you to push or do more. Only you know those answers. Just a few more breaths. And before we move to release, just bring that notion to mind and take the smallest movements you can, bending into that right knee, planting that right foot, moving any props out of the way. And we'll take a low crescent lunge, dropping the hips down towards the earth, sweeping the arms up overhead. And then exhale, planting them down. Bring the right knee to meet the left. Bring the knees to the edge of the mat, toes to touch, shift the hips back, taking a wide-legged child's pose for just a moment in between sides. Find some rest here as long as you need. Eventually making your way back to tabletop and bringing the left foot between the hands for our Hanumanasana splits or Ardha Hanumanasana half splits. Setting yourself up. Remembering to kind of like zip tie the hip points together. So the left hip is pulling back in space, the right hip is moving forward as the right toes begin to lift. Again, cushion the knee as you need. Keeping the heart space open. Finding lift in the posture. Long through the spine. And feel free to play around as well if you're there. Maybe you're just holding on for dear life. In that case, maybe I would invite you to ease a little bit. Maybe come back to a more squared-like posture where you're just focused on the front leg. Maybe you're feeling good and your hips are open, your hamstrings are open. Maybe it's time to step it up a notch. Wherever you're at in between, on either end, breathe. Find a little lift. Three more rounds of breath here if you've got them, or longer if you need. And before making any movements, exhale, surrender a little more into the posture. And then take the smallest movements you can to gently release. Wiggling that left foot back underneath you. Eventually coming to our low lunge. Sweeping the arms up, dropping the hips down. And then exhaling the hands on either side of that foot. Bringing the knee back. Shifting the hips over the heels, sweeping the arms up overhead, opening the heart, little back bend here, opening or pressing the chest towards the sky, reaching the hands back. Exhale, lower the hands to either side. Sit back onto your hips, bringing the knees bent in front of you. We'll take a few windshield wipers left and right, dropping the knees to one side and then the other. And then coming back upright, cross the right leg over the left and drop the legs to the left. Begin to sit up. Take your hands to the outer top leg and twist to the right. Come back through to center. Stack the legs. Windshield wiper back up, this time crossing the left leg over the right. Lower the legs to the right. Sit back upright. Your legs might uncross, that's okay. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist towards your left. Good. Just another breath here. Unwind, bring the knees back upright. We'll make our way to a reverse plank or reverse tabletop, or maybe you just sit in the center of the mat and take a few cat and cow breaths like this. Otherwise, prepare for lifting, engaging the core, which is tops of the thighs all the way up your torso. Inhale, lift the hips. Dropping the head back. You took reverse plank. Breathe. Keep lifting the belly button up. And on your exhale, slowly lower down. Keeping that right knee tucked in, we'll take another twist. Bringing the right hand back behind you, reach the left arm up. Exhale, elbow to your knee, gently twist in towards your leg. If you need a little bit more space, you can twist the other way. Find what works for you. Ujjayi breath, if you've left that behind. Coming back. And gently returning to center, switching sides, lengthening that right leg, bringing that left knee in, sweeping the left arm back and around. Inhale the right arm up, hook the right elbow to the outside of the left knee, twist. Two more breaths here. Inhale, gently returning to center, bringing the soles of the feet together, clasping the fingertips around the toes. We'll fold forward. Find length and then melt. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Tuck the chin, let the forehead drop towards the toes. Release in the inner legs. Inhale slowly to sit back up. Close the knees together like a book. Prop yourself up and walk the feet wide. And take turns allowing the knees to fall in. Maybe you spend a few breaths. You might feel a nice opening in the hip joint. Be gentle. Filling up full with the breath in. Exhaling all the way out. And when you feel satisfied, bringing the feet back together, lowering on down to your back. Hug the knees in towards your chest. Maybe a gentle rocking left and right. Lower the feet. We'll take supine figure 4, crossing the right ankle over the left knee. And threading the arms between the legs, clasping behind the left leg. Draw that left knee in as you energetically press that right knee away. Tuck the chin. Breathe. And release. Allow the back body to feel heavy against the mat. Soften the jaw, unscrunch the face. And then gently release the left leg and switch the crossing. This time bringing the left ankle over the right knee. Lifting that right foot up so you can grab the right hamstring and gently press the right knee in towards you as you energetically press that left knee away for a little more intensity if you'd like that. And breathing slowly and deeply. Allowing yourself to settle in and downward. And releasing that right leg, planting both feet on the mat. We'll take one bridge pose, aligning the feet in line with the hips, palms facing down. Wiggle the shoulder blades together so your chest lifts a little, and press the belly button in towards your low back. Imagine you have a block between your thighs, squeezing them in just a little bit, pressing down through all four corners of the feet. By now, you may almost feel like you're levitating. Lift the hips, finding bridge, maybe clasping the fingertips together underneath you, walking the arms in closer, forearms pressing down, broadening through the chest. Full big inhale, open mouth, exhale. Release the arms and lower the back to the mat. Lower the legs to the mat. Point the toes, reach the arms up overhead for a stretch. Exhale, knees to chest, find happy baby. Gently drawing the knees downward. Allowing the belly to expand. Full breath in. Allowing the chest to compress. On that surrendering breath out. Bring the feet together, hug the knees in towards your chest one more time. And then shift the hips to the right, lower the knees to the left. For a final twist. Right arm extends long, gazing over the right shoulder, maybe allowing the eyes to close. If there's any final tension anywhere, let it be twisted out here. Give in. Drop down. Release. Stay as long as you need, just gently switching to the other side whenever you're ready. Taking these final moments of guided practice to continue to soften the muscles, ease the monkey mind, and keep coming back to the new moment of breath in. When you've enjoyed the twist about evenly on each side, just gently make your way to a supported Shavasana, using any pillows, blankets, or props, however would be comfortable for you. Maybe you'd like to bring the soles of the feet together and open the knees. Maybe a blanket across the hips. Maybe you'd like to lay on your belly for Shavasana today, or take the legs up the wall. Just begin to settle into your choice of our resting posture. Allowing the fluctuations of the mind, like wavelengths, to get wider and bigger. slower. As the breath slows, the fingers and toes relax. The arms and legs melt into the earth. We find ourselves as one in this moment. May that bring you a sense of peace. Breathe in deeply, one final conscious breath. And exhale through open mouth. And then slowly bringing a little life back to the physical body. Your awareness, returning to your presence in this space. And gently extend the arms overhead, taking a stretch and curling into yourself, rolling to one side, gently pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat in the center of the mat. We'll meet in Anjali Mudra, prayer hands in the center of the chest, the gaze downward at the fingertips. Feeling the warmth of our hands pressing together, maybe sensing the faint reverberation of the heartbeat against our thumbs. Breathing in and breathing out. We'll close our practice today. If you'd like to join in one Om. Inhale deeply to Om. Gently release the hands. Blink open the eyes. And thank you for sharing today's practice with me. May you find the inspiration to remain unified with your own body and mind and spirit off the mat through this practice. And I hope to see you again soon on the virtual mat. Thank you.